morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Health Discourse with Sakshi and Sushant. So, hi, Sushant. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, today we are going to talk about a lot of devices that has suddenly bombarded the preventive healthcare market, and I must also add that the disease management market as well, because with that we have seen these days so many devices are coming for tracking and monitoring of your health parameters, starting from your earlier it just used to be heart rate, right? And you used to see what is the blood pressure, what is the heart rate and all, right? In the from the perspective of fitness, now we can see that blood glucose monitoring is there, right? And then there are many types of devices. It's whether it's a band, it's a ring, right? So my first question to you is that because FDI recently said in its statement that these devices are unregulated. So I would really like to question about what does it really work for people, and what is the kind of accuracy that they're claiming to be, because since FDI has mentioned that okay, these devices are unregulated, right? So I think you should shed some light on this subject.
So FDA generally have rolled out something few weeks back that a lot of this they especially rolled out for CGM machines, CGM tracking devices or wearables, right? Where they mentioned that those which are not authorized by FDA should not be used because those would give distorted or inaccurate results, right? But I'll just point out a few things here. So these wearables which we have seen, like started with watches where we used to track our calories, our steps, right? That was really fine. Getting our heart rate and all that is fine, right? But getting into like tracking your having sensors to track your blood glucose levels or your you know, sleep, heart rate variability, a lot of these things, right? So the point is, these are not preventative health. This is not a method for to drive your preventative health, right? It is again, as you rightly pointed out, it is more often, takes a smaller pie in the disease management market, right? So when what you derive out of this, basically. If you are tracking your blood glucose level after eating a meal, right? Not a food, I mean meal, right? What is it indicating? Or it is telling you that your blood sugar level is fluctuating up and down, right? But the reality is it is not preventing health. So let me take three examples here, right? And these are the major examples where most of the people buy these variables because of this. They're spending, these variables vary from if you talk of CGMs, you spend 4 to 5 thousand rupees a month, right, on tracking your CGMs. Again, rings are costing upwards of 15,000 rupees, ranging between 35,000 rupees, right? And then watches again have a different, price bands, right? But these are really delivering value or not. So let us start with uh, heart rate variability, right? So heart rate variability is something which is, let us go to the basics. It is something which is modulated by your autonomic nervous system. Right? Now we all know that your gut and brain is connected to each other through vagus nerve. There's a bidirectional network, right? There's a lot of communication, immune signaling, metabolic signaling, endocrine signaling, right? Also, the entire network consists of your enteric nervous system, which is your nerve cells in your gastrointestinal tract, your central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and your HPA axis, right? So autonomous nervous system, which again controls your heart rate variability, right? So knowing your heart rate variability is going down or fluctuating is something a cause of worry, but doesn't tell you why it is, right? So even if it is going down, what kind of hacks you have to actually regulate it? You don't know. So there will be different, people will start doing guesswork, right? So I'll give you certain insights here. So first of all, people who have irritable bowel syndrome, right, have a low HRV, right? There are certain pathways which do impact your heart rate variability, right? One of such pathways is uric acid for people who have high uric acid, again, which is, the food which is converted from fructose and purines into uric acid, right? By your gut microbiome, again, people who have high uric acid have low heart rate, right? Low HRV number, right? Similarly, the GABA production, right? Again, GABA is a neurotransmitter which has a calming effect, which reduce your stress, which have a very better calming effect. And the people who have low GABA have a low HRV number, right? Similarly, we talk of fight and flight response, right? So again, epinephrine, norepinephrine hormones, right, which is again regulated by certain microbes in your gut, but actually bring a lot of variability or fluctuation in your heart rate, right? Then histamine signaling, right? Histamine signaling do impact your heart function, do impact your heart rate, right? And then we have nitric oxide, right, which is again and byproduct of all microbes, converting nitrate into nitrite, right? So a low production nitric oxide is also connected with the variability in heart rate. So just by knowing HRV, that what is your HRV is going down, it is not going to help, right? So you need to understand why it is going down. The answer is to
I think
understand
that is actually the HRV is actually the byproduct of whatever activities have metabolic activities have happened, right? Like we used to
the.
say that what happens after the gut releases all the toxins or the nutrients. So whatever byproduct is being released in the blood, that is what we
That
measure.
impacts, yeah. So
That
it is an after effect of biological processes, as you rightly pointed out, right? Depending
yes,
upon if there is dysregulation biological processes, it could impact. For instance, I mentioned about gut-brain communication. So if there's a gut dysbiosis, a lot of neurotoxic metabolites will be released by gut, which will cross the blood-brain barrier, go to the brain, and activate HPA axis, which is again, which regulates our stress response, right? And again, uh, overactivation of HPA axis impacts your stress level, impacts your heart rate variability, impacts your sleep patterns as well, right? So essentially, you need to understand tracking is all fine. You are tracking, but what are the mechanisms of action to actually bring it on a regulated, right? So you don't have. So first you need to know the source of the problem, which biological process is causing that damage, right? So
that's
so
correct. That's
so that
totally
is
correct.
so no variable tracking HRV would able to tell you that, right? First thing, there's the first aspect. Second aspect is sleep. Again, we have seen a lot of these rings coming, which is tracking your deep sleep, sleep quality, and a lot of these things, right? Again, we need to understand the impact why we have sleep issues, right?
Now I have a really interesting point here. When you are tracking your sleep, let's say there are two people, because what happens is these apps, they will have sensors which are tracking the sound of your sleep, right? I mean, just this thing just came to my mind. Let's say there are four people in the room, they're sleeping together, right? With children. Now, what happens is that sleep monitor, I have also personally used it, so I have experienced it. Now, it will say my deep sleep lasted for like 4 to 5 hours, and that is practically impossible because, it probably just took the sounds of the other people as well sleeping, because it is using sound as a particular source of energy for monitoring all these things, right? So it is tracking the sound of your sleep. It is not either you are wearing that heart rate belt or whatever band or whatever they say, whatever device, that is a separate issue. But when you're talking about the app, that this is something which needs to be
No,
addressed.
this thing has come the ring, right? Like a
Yeah,
Aura ring, which is in US. So they again, it's a copied model, but anyways, right? There is a ring which has come, so it tracks your sleep pattern, quality of sleep. But what I would like to educate everyone here that the sleep, if you have a low quality sleep, tracking it is not going to help because, again, why you have, again, I mentioned about the gut brain axis, gut dysbiosis do impact your sleep pattern. Your gut microbiome produces melatonin, right? So melatonin is, again, we know, a sleep hormone, right? So if your microbiome is imbalanced, probably it will not produce that particular neurotransmitter. Or if you're consuming too much of fluoride, right, through your toothpaste, or through water. So probably fluoride disrupts the oral microbiome, right? The fluoride enters the pineal gland and it disrupts your melatonin production. So you would have sleep apnea, sleep issues, low quality. So understanding why you have sleep issues is more important rather than understanding, oh, I have bad sleep. So other the doctor will say, okay, stop. You have stress. You sleep for more hours. You probably spend less time on screen. That is right. That is all basic things, right? You need to be away from screen for a lot of time. You need to moderate your stress. There are numerous ways. You have to work out at least 30 to 45 minutes a day, right? 4 to 5 days a week, right? Or maybe do some yoga or meditation, right? These things, or whatever gives you happiness, probably whatever gives you dopamine. So for someone, it's reading books, or someone it is walking, right? So there are multiple things which impacts your how do you modulate your stress levels, right? So that is one of the reasons. But it is you can't say no. So stress could also be your nutrition driven. So if you have gut dysbiosis because of wrong nutrition choices, probably it will activate HPA axis, it will cause stress, it could disrupt sleep patterns or you're consuming to because 99% of the people are consuming taking toothpaste which are high in fluoride and a lot of these artificial sweeteners, which is going to disrupt your melatonin production, right? So essentially, you have to understand again the reason why, and third and the most important thing, the continuous glucose monitoring machines, right? Which is being used, being propagated as the tech we have brought up bigger, innovative tech in healthcare and all that, claims and first of all, as we discussed, it is not regulated by anyone in India, right? So again, the efficacy or the accuracy of the results are a deep question mark. First thing, right? Second thing, you are tracking your blood glucose levels, right? You are not. It doesn't help. It doesn't tell you, that uh, about your glycemic response to your glycemic control, right? So why? Because when you consume a high carbohydrate or maybe which is high in glucose, your oral macronutrients and sends a signal to your pancreas. Pancreas start releasing insulin, right? Insulin binds to insulin receptor, and there are a lot of insulin signaling which cascades at or which simulates at your nitric oxide synthase, right? So if this signaling is happening, nitric oxide is synthesis producing nitric oxide, the GLUT4, which is a protein which is released, it goes to cell membrane, clears the binds the glucose, clears the glucose of the circulation and transfers to cells for storage or energy, right? So, you know, until unless your body is producing GLUT4 or activating GLUT4, right? GLUT4, which is again a protein which regulates your glycemic insulin response, right? And when it is doing that, it doesn't matter whether how much of particular food is increasing your blood sugar level or not, it is not going to help you, right? So again, a signaling is nitric oxide, which tells GLUT4 to go to cell membrane and do all these activities, biological function inside the body, right? So what you should know is whether the GLUT4 is activated or not, right? So your blood sugar, so it's just putting a sensor, right? Just seeing the flow of the blood, right? That's what, and just checking your blood sugar level, right? So that is what CGM is doing. It doesn't help, right? So you really need to understand whether probably you have GLUT4 activity or not. If it is not, probably there will be a lot of this insulin being released inside the, you know, but there is a lot of this communication, lack of communication gap, right? So when there is no GLUT4, pancreas senses and start releasing more insulin, and then we have hyperglycemia, hyperinsulinemia, and it is starting bottom insulin resistance, right? So the fact is, you should know whether your body is letting GLUT4 or not. Tracking your blood sugar level going up and down is just telling you a few things, right? But again, the insulin signaling, again, your CGM, you're doing it after you will do for 25 days, and you will understand, okay, my my body responds different to these different foods. But again, after a few days, your microbiome composition will change. So your glycemic response to food will change. Again, glycemic response to various food also depends upon your gut microbiome. There are various pathways. We have discussed this earlier, right? And again, your after 30 days, your microbiome composition changes. Again, you are again putting another CGM and again tracking. Okay, now my body is responding to various foods. So it's like a guesswork. You have to do it every month. And that's a financial model. That's not a healthcare model. That's a model that you will end up paying every month five
The
to six thousand
user will
rupees.
end up paying again for that strip,
Yeah.
and then and then it requires that device has some semiconductor which needs to be replaced every now and then. That's what I understood. And I think, yes, you have rightly pointed out that this is like a financial model. Now, what should be for people who really want to track and monitor their health parameters? What should be the ideal course for them? Because I understand it. I mean, there are two types of people in terms of when we talk about disease management, right? There are some people who will not bother. They will say, okay, let it be, just be okay. I'll just go the way I feel like, right? The other kind of people are highly conscious. They want to know each and every aspect, but it certainly adds to a lot of pressure when you are, every time your device is giving you a beep that, okay, this is doing this thing, this is fluctuating your glucose levels. And so that adds to a level of anxiety in a person's mind, don't you think?
So my suggestion here is to everyone, right, is that these devices should not be the starting point,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? These devices gives you a summary of your biological processes, right? If it is dysregulated, there's some imbalances, right? It's a postmortem of your biological process. There's some imbalance, but you don't know where the imbalance stems from, right? So the idea is first to understand the molecular aspects of your biology, right? Uh, the what is going on inside your body when you consume something, what kind of biological processes take place, what pathways are activated, what genes are being expressed, right? What microbes are secreting, right? And uh, whether your immune system is overactive or not, so there are multiple things you have to see before just tracking your HRV or your sleep or your what do you call is your glucose is not going to help. For glucose, as I rightly mentioned, you need to know whether you have a right nitric oxide production or not, right? Or or the glycemic response to various food is moderated by a lot of pathways activated by your gut microbiome. So we need to understand that as well, right? Similarly, HRV, there are multiple pathways which we look at, right? So we gene filter look at various pathways that I mentioned about histamine, I mentioned about GABA, I mentioned about, uric acid, I mentioned about fight and flight response. We do tell you the activity level of each of these pathways, right? So we could actually just by nutrition we could regulate or modulate those pathways to further regulate your HRV parameters, or we tell you what is the nitric oxide production, how you can stimulate nitric oxide production to actually regulate your GLUT4 activation, right? Or probably, your sleep and stress issues, which could impact your HRV. So we could modulate through personalizing nutrition as medicine just by studying your gut and oral microbiome, right? So again, these devices are first of all not regulated. They don't give you a clear picture. They just give you a postmortem of biological processes, right? They doesn't tell you where the problem stems from. So to understand, you have to answer the question why I have this, where the origin start, where is the origin or how it starts, right? Its specific pathways are being activated. So you need to understand your biology at a molecular level. That is what is important, right? These devices are just for me. It's toys. They are played. I also use the Apple Watch, but I generally use for tracking my steps and calories. Right, that's it. That's it. I don't use it for. I don't use any ring or I don't use any CGMs for this. We know we have inbuilt a CGM where we could tell you predict the glycemic response to 300 plus foods. Right? So you can know whether. So you don't need a CGM to know. Okay, first I'll eat potato and then see whether potato is rising my blood sugar level or not. You can know before you consume. Right.
Hmm.
So we take the guesswork out of your health equation.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
I
that
to
is important. Yeah.
And I think you should also mention here some success stories with the predictive glycemic response of foods here, just for the sake of listeners.
Yeah, so we have seen our customers who have so again it's a part of it's a human biology machine learning model which we have built, which is a part of everyone's solution, right? So everyone gets their molecular insights, their health insights, unique health insights in terms of its specific pathway, actually what metabolites are secreted. also we give the nutrition intervention which we give is actually mapped with with all the pathways and even your predictive glycemic response to 300 plus foods. So we have seen people, having better energy,
I think
regularly
now,
low.
what from what I have experienced with the customers, that they have, I mean, they are on their own most of the time, and they are very much independent. Now they actually know, okay, what food is going to spike my blood sugar, what food is
Mm,
actually, okay for me, what foods should I take in moderation, right? So this is
mm.
something which is a very empowering information for anyone who has these metabolic disorders, because they do know, they do have the control. Okay, this is something I should eat. This is not something I should eat less frequently, right? So this is a very empowering information for anyone. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and again, for our model, it's completely do it yourself model, right?
Mhm. They
DIY
can
model.
also create their diet plans
Yeah, so we
on the
have,
same.
yeah, so for everyone listening to us, we have, based on the feed, again, this is based on the feedback from the consumers, from our customers. They have
Mhm.
built an automated model where you could, based on the recommendation, you could make your plan every week for the next 7 days, right? And download it. So you don't need a nutritionist to tell you what you should eat today in the evening or in the
That's
breakfast and
just
lunch.
like, sitting 30 minutes to create your plan, whatever foods you want to include in your diet, and then you're
On what
ready to
basis? So
go.
first thing
Yeah.
is, you need to understand your unique biology, right? So most of the interventions imparted or given or suggested by I'm not a physician in nutrition, so I'm telling you certain things which we have experienced, which we have seen our customers also, right? Who signed up before signing up, who were working with certain nutritionists. So again, these are based on certain plasma level investigation, blood works, or now CGM. But again, you need to understand in every single biological process inside the body, right? Again, 99% of the genes expressed inside our body are microbial, so you need to understand your microbial function. And then,
Mm.
otherwise, whatever you are eating is just guesswork, right? So
That's
again,
true.
you have, based on your biology, you have these recommendations which aims at promoting anti-inflammatory activities, suppressing pro-inflammatory activities, and also you could make your own plan, right? And you can
Mhm.
even check the efficiency of nutrition. They have also built the clinically validated questionnaires within our platform, which only used by a lot of globally all the biotech research companies, right? So
So
you can,
one can actually see whether their nutrition is working for them or not. They can check their
yeah,
quality of
real
life,
time, real
real
time,
time.
real
Yes,
time,
and they will
anytime.
be able to see all the parameters that they have filled in, all the
Yeah,
results, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's wonderful. Great, Sushant. So it was a good talk and very informative for all those who have been, exploring such devices for their health monitoring.
Mm.
So I think next time, would you like to add something in order to conclude this talk?
Yeah, so understand your first thing is understand your unique biology. Do not follow the fad diets. Do not go for high protein diets or low carbs or
Keto.
ketosis or whatever it is or meditation or whatever it is. Understand your biology. There's no one diet for everyone and there's no one diet for everyone at one point in time. So what you eat right now may be bad after 6 months. So again, you need
Mm.
to understand your biology, right? What foods is going to fuel your microbiome and what biological processes are being activated, what dysregulation are there, how you can counter that dysregulation. So again, these devices could be used, but not as the only way to track your health because there may be distortions because these are not regulated. Plus, these doesn't go to the root cause,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I understand.
So
Yes,
so that is that is
that's
a
correct.
that is a bigger problem.
I think that
So
is
these
like
could,
more of the after effect of something that has happened. It is giving you the after effect, like we already,
yeah, it's a
discussed.
postmortem biological processes, right? Tell
Sort
some
of,
problem is there,
yes.
some
Yes,
problem is there.
yes.
You will track, okay, my particular meal is spiking my blood sugar level. That is fine. You know that it is spiking, so you could. But actually, what happens after you eat, right? If it's spiking, right?
Hmm.
Whether you have the right activation of GLUT4 to actually clear off that circulation. Otherwise it is of no use. It really do not help in. So you would know, okay, these foods are going to spike, these foods are going to spike. This food, again, meal, right? You don't
Absolutely.
eat every food separately. Again, after, you know After 20, 25 days or a month, your microbiome will change, your response to glycemic response to different foods will change. So again, you have to put that again, you have to see the up and down in blood sugar level, right? It's better you understand, your three things here. I'm talking about the CGM, so probably you people are using CGM. First thing is understand your oral microbiome function, understand your gut microbiome functions, how your gut microbiome is impacting your insulin response, plus
Mhm.
whether you have right signaling going on, which is actually activating GLUT4 or not, right? So the
Absolutely.
idea is you have to understand. People say the root cause is insulin resistance. So what causes insulin resistance? There is a lot of intracellular signaling happening, the intracellular
Mm-hmm.
cascades, which would impact the GLUT4 activation. So that is more important. If you know the GLUT4 activation, probably I know the I have a blood sugar circulation in the circulatory system. Probably my GLUT4 will go and clear it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is that
Yes.
is more important than just tracking so you end up paying every month, right? Yeah.
That's correct. So I think with this we have come to the end of this discussion. So thank you, Sushant, for sparing time for this informative podcast, and for all our listeners, thank you for listening to our talks. And please do share it with your friends and family, for all your near and dear ones, whoever have been suffering from metabolic disorders, because every week we come up with some topics which are of actual concern to all the healthcare stakeholders, whether it is patients, whether it is doctors, whether it is other institutions, right? And thank you, Sushant. Thank you
Thank
once
you.
again.